Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today, inshallah, we'll be starting from the second quarter of the 17th juz, inshallah, which will be the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And then we'll be coming to the end of the first half. We'll finish the first half of the 18th juz. It's a few pages of Surah An-Nur. Looking at the first few ayat of the 18th juz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a very good summary of what to focus on in our life if we want to be successful. There are different levels of success. There are different types of success. The true success is the success of the hereafter. We know this, we believe this. As Muslims, we understand this. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off the 18th juz, Surah Mu'minun, with قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that the mu'minun or the mu'mineen have truly succeeded. Right? And then the following verses, they explain who are these believers who succeeded. Right? The first, and he gives 7 attributes or 7 qualities of a believer, that if the person focuses on these 7 things, they will be classified as successful in the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we are successful in the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what other success do we need, right? The first one is الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Those who are humble, sincere, they have tranquility, they have khushu in their prayers. Right? We already know that salah is the founding, like the core foundation of our deen. So it makes sense that the most important factor of our deen is performed in the best way possible. And unfortunately, many times what happens is our focus is not on the salah but on the movements. Right? It just becomes a habit, like robotic. We go up and down. Right? The Masuan Mullah, he always used to say, he has this famous saying, he says, up, down, kiss the ground, back to town. This is the condition of our salah in this day and age, unfortunately. Up, down, kiss the ground, and then we're off. Right? We know this just came to my mind right now, but we know that story of that person, the Imam was leading the salah, and he accidentally, he was leading Isha, 4 rak'ah, and he accidentally led 3 and he did salam. So there was a little bit of talk like, did he do 3, did he do 4? So one of the persons says, no, I'm 100% sure he did 3. Right? Everyone else was in doubt. So they said, how are you 100% sure? He's like, every day, I have 4 stores. Every day in my salah, I do hisab, I do the accounting for each store, in one store in 1 rak'ah. And today I only finished 3 and the salah ended. So that means that, we only prayed 3. So subhanAllah, we all know what's on our mind in salah, what's going on, right? That's only one aspect, the mindset. But also the aspect of the movements and how they're performed, how fast they're done. Are we taking breaks between the ruku, sajda? Many times what happens, we come up from sajda and then we go straight back in without pausing. Right? This is a wajib action to have ta'deel arkan, to come to a pause where our body comes to a standstill, and then we move on to the next action. Right? So there's different aspects of khushu, but this is the first one. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. They have khushu in their salah. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Who turn away from futility. Those things that are irrelevant, those things that are useless. Right? Many times most of our time, if we don't pay attention to it, most of our time will go into things that are useless or things that don't make any difference. Right? And we'll talk about it, we'll debate about it, but SubhanAllah, I was just talking to some of the kids yesterday. The questions, some questions people have, it's questions that are completely useless, right? And there's nothing wrong with asking questions, but some of the ideas or some of the things that we put all our focus on are things that are going to make zero difference in our life. And the stuff that's actually important, that stuff gets left behind. Right? We know that the Prophet ﷺ told us that min husni Islam al-mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'ni. The beauty of a Muslim's belief, right, and his iman is that they leave those things that are irrelevant, those things that don't concern him or her, right? So this is the second one. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Of course, each of these ayahs have so much tafsir behind it, but we're just trying to get through the 7 attributes. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. And those, there's 2 meanings to this. One is the meaning of fulfilling the act of paying zakah, but another meaning of zakah, which is the literal meaning of zakah, is to purify oneself, purify one's heart. Right? We spoke about the nafs a few days ago in the 13th juz. Purifying the nafs. This is something that is fard. This is something that is mandatory on every believer, right? And every person, that they have to make sure that they're cleansing themselves from all types of different spiritual diseases, spiritual sicknesses, right? Whether it be jealousy, whether it be shirk, obviously one of the biggest one, right? Whether it be hypocrisy, nifaq, right? Whether it be hasad, jealousy. There's so many different ones. Purifying ourselves from these, zakah, cleansing ourselves. This is one of the core qualities of a successful believer. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. And those who safeguard their private organs, right? From adultery, from fornication, from illicit actions, from haram relationships, right? All of that, right? This is number 4. Then we have وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. Those who give due regard, they make sure that they fulfill their trusts, their promises, and their pledges. Right? I mentioned this many times, but it still stands true that unfortunately, many times when it comes to people, when we talk about Muslims, we say, oh no, I can't trust a Muslim. How many times have we heard this? Oh, I have to do a business deal, it's a Muslim, I don't want to deal with a Muslim. Right? It should be the other way around. It should be that, oh, this is a Muslim person, I can easily do a business transaction with this person. I can easily, close my eyes and trust this person. Unfortunately, it's the way around, and we make it as a joke, but it's actually a very serious matter, right? The Prophet ﷺ was very, very specific when it came to fulfilling the promises, fulfilling his word. Someone told him to wait, and he gave him his word. He waited there for multiple days. He waited for that person, right? The word is not something to be taken lightly, especially the word of a believer. The scholars, the Sufis, they say like a Muslim can never lie. It can't be that a Muslim lies. Right? This is how it should be. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying one of the qualities of the successful believers, لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. They fulfill their trust, they fulfill their promises, they don't, and their pledges. They don't break their word. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَوَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. Right? In the first we spoke about, he said صَلَاتِهِمْ. Right? Over there is talking about all types of salah. Salah, he used a singular form, showing that any type of salah, khushu is mandatory in that. Whether it's fard salah, whether it's wajib salah, whether it's a nafil salah, sunnah salah, it doesn't matter. Khushu in those salahs, all salahs. Over here he says salawatihim, using the plural. The plural is referring to the 5 daily salawat. Those who are particular about their salah, making sure that it's prayed on time, making sure that it's not missed, made qada, right? And making sure that all of the etiquettes are fulfilled, the prerequisites, making sure that the tahara is there, the place is clean, the clothes are clean, we're in the state of purity, facing the qibla, all of those other prerequisites. Right? So this is salawatihim yuhafidun. Then what about them? He mentioned they're successful, but what is the reward for being successful? Being successful in the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ. Those are the heirs. Those are the inheritors. Inheritors of what? الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الفردوس هم فيها خالدون الذين يرثون الفردوس. Those, they shall inherit Firdaus. Of course, Jannatul Firdaus, the highest levels of Jannah. Hum fiha khalidun, where they shall live forever. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from amongst the true successful ones. The successful ones in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We chase the success of the dunya and there's nothing wrong with that, but our eyes should always be on the true success. The success of the akhirah, the everlasting success. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all Jannatul Firdaus. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all these qualities of the true believers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to change our bad habits into good habits. Ameen wa akhiru da'wana. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan